All right, guys, CradleGrid Technology, our simple, adaptable storage platform that completely changed the way the U.S. military stores and organizes guns and gear. And it's what made SecureIt the global leader in military weapon storage. Now, in this video, I'm going to go through what it is, how it works, and why it's been so successful in the military, and how CradleGrid can dramatically improve your gun storage. When you think of CradleGrid, just think of efficiency and simplicity. Remember, the simplest solutions are the ones that withstand the test of time. Now, CradleGrid consists of just three primary components. You've got the grid wall, which you see behind me, the stock base, and our unique cradle. It can be adjusted to store any long gun regardless of optics, attachments, or form factor. And when combined with our storage accessories, you can do almost anything. Think of it as a tool that allows you to create your unique storage solution. That's why the military has adopted CradleGrid throughout their armories. Now let's face it, traditional gun safes just don't store modern guns. They are rigid systems designed back in the 60s. They've never changed, and they certainly have not kept up with the sweeping changes we see in modern firearms, optics, and associated gear. Your guns are a mess, and getting to the one you need can be very difficult. Now let's look at the individual components of CradleGrid. You've got the grid wall, which you see behind me. This is used in all of our safes, cabinets, walls, and upgrade kits. It's the backbone of our system and provides adjustability and a solid foundation. Then you've got the cradle. This adjusts on the wall to hold any long gun. No tools are required. Vertical adjustment for each rifle is critical to properly store modern guns. Now, the profile of the cradle is designed to hold long guns at the barrel, at the foregrip, or the mag well on M4s or AR-15s. Now, I'll get to that in just a second. Now, you have the ability to store guns with the optics facing in or out. Now, I prefer storing rifles with the optics in. That way, if you're working in your safe, you're working around your safe, and you drop something, you won't accidentally hit a scope. However, if you've got a lot of gear to store, optics out gives you a lot of space to drop in storage bins or trays. Optics out also looks better if you're building a display wall and you want to show off your collection. Now, the magwell notch was added to the design for SEAL team armories. Now, these guys have a ton of gear, and this stands the M4 or AR-15 fairly vertical, and it buys you a ton of space behind the guns. This allows you to maximize every cubic inch of space in your weapon rack or safe. Now, the top of the cradle has cleats, and they're used with our bungees or our snap grip system. This gives the military safety options when securing weapons in their racks. Now, the bungees are used throughout California and the West Coast to meet seismic safety codes. If there's an earthquake, the guns won't fall out. Additionally, you can use two bungees wrapped around the gun. This holds the gun very firmly into the cradle. We use this solution when building mobile armories. We build a lot of shipping containers and Connex boxes for the military to deploy downrange. The snap grip is a spring steel piece with rollers and allows you to literally snap the guns into the safe. Now, this was a requirement of the Marine Corps in Okinawa. They wanted to assure that every time a gun went into a rack, it would snap in. They store their M4s with slings mounted, and they didn't want the risk of an armorer removing a few M4s and having a sling catch on an adjacent gun and knocking it loose and they end up getting hit in the head. Now, for most consumer applications, if you have the safe bolted in place, you do not need to use bungees or the snap grip. Many of our good customers really like the snap grips for the added layer of safety, and it just feels good to snap the guns in. Now let's go over the stock base. The stock base is designed with a step system, so regardless of the size of your rifle stock, the gun is going to sit on the base and lean into the rack with enough load into the saddle so the gun is stable and will stay in place. The two curved profiles on the stock base are designed for spade grips for military weapons such as the M2 machine gun, Mark 19s, 240 Charlies, or anything that has a two-handed spade grip. Now, the stock bases are designed to lock together and sit in the bottom of your safe and cabinet. They don't attach directly to the safe. You have the ability to slide them closer to the wall or closer to the door. Now, if you have a lot of gear stored in the safe door in an organizer and you need more room, you simply slide the stock bases closer to the back wall. If you want to store a lot of gear behind your guns on that back wall, you simply slide the cradles closer to the door. The system is designed to give you, the operator, the maximum amount of flexibility so you can solve your storage problems and also incorporate a lot of gear storage with your guns. The volume of gear associated with modern guns is growing exponentially. Now, I designed the CradleGrid system system in 2008, working closely with U.S. Army Special Forces. SecureIt was a 4-person company at the time, and we'd won a contract to do an assessment program for Special Forces Command. I traveled to every U.S. Army Special Forces base, toured every armory. I spent a day with each armor, interviewed him, watched his workflow. I took a lot of photographs. The job was to prepare a report for command detailing why their armories were failing inspections and make recommendations for improvement. After 18 months of work and seeing all the problems, I came up with the CradleGrid Technology system. And really what it is a building block system that allows armorers to solve problems. Weapon racks that they had been using were rigid systems. They were designed to work one way and one way only. Military armories were becoming very dynamic as they transitioned from the M16 to the M4, from a traditional battle rifle to a modular weapon system. And now we see the same thing happening on the civilian side of the industry. Guns are becoming modular, more adaptive. You've got a lot of different form factors, a lot of different sizes. The rail system on the M4 is now being incorporated in a lot of other guns. You've got optics, attachments, and a lot of electronics coming into the space. Traditional gun safes, like the old military weapon racks, simply do not have the capacity or the ability to deal with these changes. You are forced to do things one way, their way. And it really doesn't work. Now, the guys at 3rd Group Special Forces, they call it the Lego rack. The Marines out of Pendleton at MARSOC, they call it the Tetris rack, and both for the same reason. The armors just start at the bottom of each weapon rack and build what they need. And now you can have that same level of flexibility. All right, guys, I've covered a lot today, and I've tried to be as efficient as possible. CradleGrid technology is used throughout the U.S. military and by almost every major American gun manufacturer, simply because it works and it works well. Again, think of it as a building block system that allows you to build the system you need to meet your needs. Now, if you've got questions, please post them. I'm going to read through and answer as many as I can. To learn more, visit our website, SecureItGunStorage.com. Thank you.